Good morning. My name is Jammy, and I'm with the Jammy Doja team. My teammate's name is Cindy Palani, and together we made Finance Quest system, which for now only runs on the mobile version, but I believe it should be running on any platform. We do know that there are also runs on Windows, just not sure about iOS and Tizen and others. So this is the app. Unfortunately, we could not finish it. We were given up due to the fact that this was our first time doing the hackathon, and she faced challenges with having to install the system, the text that we were gonna use to develop the system, right? So we used the Visual Studio and then .NET frameworks, and then specifically we used .NET MAUI to develop this system, and then we also kind of utilize the storage called the plugin that gives the ability for us to store data, called Monkey app. So this is the system. You see we have home stats. Well, this is where stats was meant to be. Unfortunately, we didn't even get the chance to design. Yeah, and then also this is where settings are meant to be, achievements meant to be. And the settings part, that's where the user is meant to change the budget for the week. So the aim of this system, of this app, is to assist the user with the finance knowledge. Finance knowledge. Yeah, finance information. I mean to say finance information, related information. So you can see we have the quiz site here. This is where the quiz information, or the quiz, is meant to be or take place about the finance information, and then where we maybe would have levels of basic, advanced, intermediate and advanced, and then the user will have to select on one of the levels. No, actually there is starting with the easy level, and then they'll choose a category which they want to answer questions for. There will be maybe, for example, savings, investment, credits, blah blah blah, categories, right? And then the user will have to choose one of those, but the idea is that they'll have to answer all the categories for them to unlock a new level. That was the whole idea of the quiz, which was not done, as you can see. And then also another overall idea is to assist the user with their expenses. So every week they'll have to set a budget. As you can see, we have a budget there is 1,500, and then using that budget, so every expense that they make on that during that week, then we're gonna detect there, and then based on the how huge the expense is, and then we calculate the percentage. Actually, let me show this. So the user will have to lodge the expense by clicking on the expense button, right? And then by doing that, it pops out this window where they have to add the amount of the expense they made, and then also choose the category of that expense they made. So we're using this expense amount here. We calculate the percentage. Well, that was the algorithm, the idea that I had in mind, to calculate the percentage compared to this budget. And then using that percentage, if it's between 0 and 20, then it represents this monster. If it's 20 and 40, they represent this monster. If it's 40 and 60, they represent this monster. And then if it's 6 and above, then they represent this kind of monster, whereby, let's say this is the amount, the first expense they made, 258, and then category strip, and then you add the expense, and then use based on that percentage, and then it will show a goblin here, of which I have not done so as yet, unfortunately. Like I said, we've given up midnight about this thing, because there was just a lot going on, having to assist my teammate with having to install the tech, and also just because it's the first time using the language .NET MAUI, the framework. So yeah, I had a lot of pressure on my side, just to make sure that everything comes out all right. And then through. So yeah, that is what was meant to be done. And then also the user, if the user was to enter an amount bigger than the budget or the balance there, and then the monster would have to win, right? Well, it's not working properly. and this would have the green bar that you see here should have what is the word, depreciated, right? And then, well, to zero actually, to nothing. And then this monster would have some life, the green bar, to show that it's alive, still alive, so it won't over the budget. And then some animation would pop up to say you lost, your target for the week and all those things. And then dot stats or dot, that information would be lodged as a stats on the stats page, right? And then also, or if the user was to finish a week with this budget not zero or greater than zero, with the budget greater or equals to zero, well, greater than zero actually, then that would be an achievement, right? And then those would be also maybe, let's say, if they were to achieve such a thing of having to finish 3 weeks or even a month without having to go under budget, then they get a bronze medal. And then if it's 3 months, for example, then they get silver medal. And then maybe if it's a year, then they get a gold medal. So that was the whole idea. Hopefully it makes sense. And then as for having to run the thingy extended, I don't know how I will show that because I'm using Visual Studio. I've never ran the project using commands where I could say I can write instructions on how to run the project on the setup MD file, unfortunately. So yeah, but the project, it is openable using Visual Studio, and it can be ran as long as the Visual Studio is 2022, and then also it is using the SDK.NET 9, right? Then it should be able to run the project properly. I don't know what else I'm missing, but I believe that should be all. Yeah, thank you.